There's a question that I can't stop thinking about. So imagine two people. The first person has spent the last 20 years trying to learn as much as they can about the field that they're in. They become an expert in that field, and as a result they have financial success, and that's afforded them a level of stability and security in their life. And also they have a strong foundation or sense of identity. Now the other person has spent those same 20 years maybe having to restart over, numerous times. And as a result of their experience, they've had to maybe build skills, vastly different skill sets. Therefore, they'd probably be a lot more tolerant of uncertainty. Now, over the next 10 years, who do you think might be more likely to thrive? 5-10 years ago, that question may have been fairly easy to answer, or maybe obvious. Now I'm not so sure, because I think we're moving into a world where intelligence is not one of the most important abilities. As we mentioned in the last video, intelligence is quickly becoming a commodity, and therefore maybe the most important skill going forward is adaptability. So I've been thinking about this a lot, because I don't think I really placed too much importance on the value of adaptability as a skill. I think, like most people, I overvalued qualifications and maybe learning things or accumulating knowledge and working hard, and that giving a sense that that would buy me some level of security, stability. But life has this habit of disrupting our stories, our narratives. And so around 5 years ago, I found myself in a situation where everything that I'd built my identity on seemed to be falling apart around me. And my life seemed to be in sort of complete chaos. But I think that was really important, because although at the time I felt like a failure, actually what it revealed to me was that I built my identity on a really sort of shaky set of foundations. And so that's led me to continually question, or have these sort of questions that, in a world that's moving faster and faster, continuously changing, what's going to be the mindset, what's going to be the mind that we're going to need to develop in order to thrive and not get lost in this sort of chaos of change. So one of the things that psychology teaches us is that we're constantly building models of the world. We build models about how a relationship should work, how we should be treated by other people. We build models about who we are and what success should look like. And that's obviously incredibly powerful, because they help us navigate the world. They help make really complex information digestible to us, help us make decisions. And if we didn't have these models, then we'd sort of wake anew each day, having to sort of learn everything from scratch. So the problem isn't the models themselves. The problem is that we forget that they're models. We start to believe that the maps are the territory. And these models can then become reinforced over time through repeated behavior, emotions, thoughts, which makes these models very sticky, makes them very, very difficult to update. And it's our tendency to keep using these models of the world, even when the landscape around us is continually changing. So this is what we might think of as rigidity. And I think we're entering an era where this rigidity is going to become increasingly really, really costly to us. When people have conversations about AI, they inevitably talk about jobs. And of course that's incredibly important. But I actually think the issue is really much bigger than that. Artists are struggling with what creativity means when AI can generate incredible images, video, music. Programmers are having to redefine what expertise looks like when anybody can vibe code an app. Teachers, scientists, therapists, lawyers, none of us are immune to this moment. The challenge isn't simply learning new tools. It's about being willing to update our thinking, updating our mental models of the world, to question assumptions that may have served us really well previously and over years, decades even. Because if our identity has become wedded or fused to one way of creativity, one way of thinking, one profession, one version, or one way of seeing ourselves, then every technological shift can become a real personal threat. Watch a child for 5 minutes and what are you going to notice? Well, they're going to constantly ask questions. They're constantly building things and breaking things. They're trying again and getting back up. And it's really difficult to separate that learning from play. Learning is play, which is a beautiful thing. One of the remarkable things about childhood is it coincides with this period, critical period, where our brains are really plastic and there's this huge spurt of brain development. Children aren't simply curious because their brains are changing, and their brains don't develop just because they're curious. But curiosity, exploration, and play are just the kinds of things that our brains need to really help update our models of the world and refine and build new models of the world. Somewhere along the line, many of us stop playing, and instead we become experts. Experts are rewarded for certainty. Children are rewarded for curiosity. So I wonder whether the future really belongs to the people that can regain a sense of play, that can regain that sense of curiosity and enthusiasm for the world, and retain the wisdom that we sort of have as adults. One of the commitments that I've made on this channel is that I want to lead by example, and these videos are part of that. They're part of an experiment to help me update my own models. And so each week I want to experiment with becoming a little bit more curious, a little bit more adaptive, and more comfortable tolerating the uncertainty of becoming a beginner. Whether that's documenting my sort of journeys in trying new creative endeavors, physical endeavors, or trying to sort of build new skills such as doing these YouTube videos. And if you'd like to join me as we explore how to adapt and thrive in this really fast changing world, then hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.